David Haller is back, now leading a hippie cult full of those addicted to his love, all while being pursued by the Shadow King and the forces of Division 3. But times, they are a-changin', as a young girl named Switch is about to make all of David's time travel dreams possible. It's the final chapters in one of television's trippiest and most visually distinct shows, with the Season 3 premiere of Legion, Chapter 20. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome back to Legion! It's been a long time coming! So yes, of course, here's your standard spoiler warning. Also, for those who haven't been watching these reviews lately, just jumping back in here with Legion, do want to tell you about our new quick jump index system. Just take a look down in the description below. We'll have this entire review separated out, titled Time Jump Activated. Jump forward, jump back, much like Switch's powers. You can watch this review in any order you'd like. So, yeah, let's just dive right in. So excited. I have to say, I approach this season with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I have to be honest. One, I've been really waiting for this show to come back. Like I said, this is one of the most visually distinct shows on television. It is beautiful, brilliant storytelling, incredibly acted, everything you want from a show, and yet it's also the end. This is the final season. Noah Hawley has said that they always planned out to have kind of a 3-season arc, and you know, it's been great. It's been an amazing show. So sometimes, yeah, go out on top. Go out while things are still good. Don't stretch things out. Don't get things unnecessarily complicated. Also, the fact that your parent company was purchased by Disney and now all of Marvel properties are getting mushed into the Marvel Matrix here. Some of these types of storytelling aren't really going to be fitting in with this. So it's sort of a perfect time to come in. Though, again, with the way this show is done, I think this is certainly a way to pitch the ideas of telling maybe stories that aren't all connected in the same universe, or even in film universe and television universes. Sometimes it's good to have one-offs. Sometimes it's good to have things that are different and distinct and can experiment the way this show does. So, yeah, it's a natural way of evolution. It's a natural way of corporatism. It's a natural idea for the show to just have a nice, concise bit of storytelling here, which is great. But again, sad that we won't have any more after this season. So let's just enjoy it as much as we can. And my God, jumping back into things with a bang. What a premiere episode. Beautiful, really, from beginning to end. And it did so many things incredibly well. One, our introduction to Switch, a brand new character. Brilliant, beautiful, again, lots of visual storytelling. She is the only color in her world, which makes it so distinct. We even see those little opening, I mean, look, where do I start? The time-traveling instructions over the headphones. Beautifully done. Who is that? Is that her father? Is that someone from the future? Is this a mentor? Does it matter? No, not really. It's just super cool that we have these instructions on time traveling. Instantly know what she does, who she is. And then, like I said, from a visual standpoint, her home is all super organized. The shot where she's talking with her father, I mean, right there. She's having breakfast. Her father is wheeled in on a television, checking in. Do you feel great? Did you sleep well? Great. That's all I want to know. And gets wheeled out. She is alone. She is separated. While can connect with her father and that family, there's a definitive distance. The floor all around is all checkerboard. The lights above are almost looking like accounting lights. Everything is orderly and accounted for and digital, again, black and white, very drab in colors. And yet, wherever she goes, she is the color. Whether it be at home, in the streets, at school, she is a shining beacon of light, and really just instantly sinks right into her story and who she is. It's just, again, it's just visually we say so much is being told right in that moment. And then just the whole pursuit of David, that whole opening sequence as she's finding the flyers, which again, that's awesome. The basket is watching. Little drawing of Fukuyama there was awesome. Beware the mustache. And even the whole phrasing. And there's kind of an interesting thing in that too. Because while this seems to be something like from David as a warning out to people, a way to maybe pull them in, warning about Division 3, what is the forces of division. It also has something like, beware of those who give you your name. When they're talking about the opening bits, like, beware of mind control, beware of those who give you your name, they're not your mother and father. And yet, when she does get to David's little cold place, the guy gives her, Alchemy gives her name, Switch. Oh, your name isn't good enough. That's not what we're going to call you. We'll call you Switch. So it's just an interesting bit where we're having a brilliant description of Division 3, and I love the little drawing that had the vermilion there with the girl with the mustache, and it's got the eyes that are looking, and the eyes are looking up too, but that's also the boobs because they're girls with mustaches. It's kind of it was just a cool, simple little visual drawing, which I love. But the fact that we have this warning of division that also in a way is a slight warning on David and his cult himself was just kind of interesting. But the pursuit and tracking the clues down from one place to another and seeing the drawing of the pregnant virgin there, and that leads to the time travel statement that has the radio station that she tunes into and has the statement, "Why is it always blue?" from Lenny, that she can use her time travel to go back and re-listen to afterwards. I mean, it's a brilliant opening sequence of getting us into this tale. It was just, and that was like the first 10 minutes. There was so much more to go into afterwards. And then I think another important thing that the show does really well was it catches up. You don't really have to have seen the previous 2 seasons to jump into this season. The scenes with David, he's talking about his whole history, and I appreciate the fact he's so forward and kind of unemotional about it all. Yeah, I was taken over by an enemy of my father, and he sort of tortured me, and I was insane for a while, and that sent me into a mental hospital. I mean, he was very straightforward talking to Switch about his past. And yet, through that, we as the audience are getting caught up. When we get to Farouk, he's talking about the astral plane. Oh, it's an intersection of different areas, and we can, sort of create everything here. It's where we can sense and see each other. All right, if we hadn't seen the astral plane before, with Oliver's whole Ice Cube home and everything, we would get the idea of it now. We also see how smart Switch is. She picks up on Farouk super quick. She understands that's the astral plane there. She understands who he is, because David had talked about Farouk, but she immediately sums up who he is and what type of person he is. It's a great scene there also because Farouk is sensing that Switch wants something from David, but we don't understand what that is. Which I think is something that'll be a fun little journey throughout this season. Why is Switch there? What is it that she wants out of this whole arrangement? Again, interesting, but showing how smart she is. And damn, that quick little escape. That was awesome. Just grabs the plate and drops it right down. Escapes the Shadow King. Just brilliant. I mean, and Olive's, even the discussions with Division 3, love their new flying ship headquarters, which also seems to have a mustache. Did you notice that in the front? Everybody, what is it? Ptonomy, he's got a mustache. They're bringing up, everyone's got a mustache. I think that was something else also when Farouk shows up with Switch, when Switch falls in the astral plane. As he steps out, he has a mustache. So the beware the mustache is in a way warning her of all of these situations. I wonder, actually, part of me is how much were those flyers, were those sent out by David to pull her in? Or is this something that she did herself later on in the future and then goes back in time and leaves these for her to warn who the enemy is with the mustache? Time travel always gets complicated. We'll dive into things. But I love that we have the instructions, again, of time travel through all of this. When you go back, make sure you go back far enough. If you don't go back far enough, you may not be able to change things because certain things may be an event, in sequence. You only go back 5 minutes, maybe the assault team has already come in and that's not going to be time enough to get out. You got to go further back. But then we get a warning. You can't go too far back or you may awaken the demons. Who was thinking for a moment it might have been Farouk since he popped out as she was staring out into the abyss in that one moment. But no, I don't think so. I think this is going to be another creature, another situation another enemy that we'll have to encounter out. So it was a brilliant way of really catching us up with the story, setting up our new adventure, and telling us everything that we need to know. Whether we had been watching previous seasons or not, I think they give you enough information to catch you up with who everybody is and what's going on and why people are doing what they're doing while still keeping that idea open. And the fact that this entire episode really was just the opener, I think was perfectly summed up how the episode ends. When Switch does her third pullback and the house is gone and Sid's kneeling down and all of a sudden we get the FX Presents, an association with Marvel Pictures, Legion. It's the first time we saw the title card. We didn't see the title card throughout the entire episode. Why? Because this was just the opener. This is the preamble to this season. This is just telling where everybody is. And like I said, from a visual standpoint, from a story standpoint, from an acting story point, man, I miss this show. Alright, so when we last saw David, he had, of course, had grabbed Lenny and escaped with massive power usage away from Division 3, who had put him on trial and were about to lobotomize/execute him for crimes that he was going to do. Which, like I've said previously, I do have a lot of questions about all of this. Again, the only information we have about the end of the world is from future Sid, and she's kind of unreliable, considering that I felt all of last season was really just a giant Farouk manipulation over David. I don't even know if he is really the big villain of the future. But all that's really beside the point. Did David do some villainous things? Heck yeah. He crossed lines for sure. But I don't feel that he is irredeemable. I've always felt that his actions were kind of a too strong child reacting to a world constantly at odds with him. Farouk's been manipulating his entire time growing up. I think all of last season, even the pursuit of Farouk was David being sort of cajoled by all these different forces. He tortured Oliver. Why? Because Sid had gone through the whole thing about you've got to be harsh, you got to be bad, you've got to save love. To do that, we got to be able to cross lines. And so he's like, I got to get my girl. I'm going to cross lines. And yes, he was concerned that he might have enjoyed it a bit too much. And yes, he did rape his girlfriend later on because she didn't give consent and he mind wiped her and so on. Like I said, he had done some bad things. But I don't really see him in the level of super villainy. And perhaps maybe this season this is going to be his final push. Where he is now beginning with this cult. Again, not villainous, but definitely controlling people around. I mean, what's his thing? He is the magic man. He rescues people that are going through issues and problems and alone and loss and everything. He fixed them. And the only thing he asks in return is that they stay with him, stick around, help keep up the house. love each other. There is this whole addiction to love that is going on, and I think it's primarily actually on David's end. I think he needs these people to fill that void inside of him. Not only is the Shadow King gone, but the one girl that he loved, that he had tried to do so much for, Sid, is now after him. So he's hurt. He's hurt. He's making some bad choices. Definitely drugging everybody. Whole house full of that stuff. It's always blue, isn't it? It's interesting because as I went and rewatched the first couple of seasons of Legion, and I always wondered, is the drug actually something real, or was that sort of the way that Farouk hazed the mind? And in that sense, is that also what David is doing? He creates this. Is this a drug that just hazes the mind, allows David's influence to come in a little bit more? Is he following in the same footsteps that Farouk is? Is this just where Farouk started out before he became full-on Shadow King? Is that what we're seeing with David? Yes, entirely, potentially. I will give that. When you're drugging everybody around you, that's great. Also, you have multiple versions of yourself you argue with behind the door. But we've seen that already. But again, despite all of this, like I had mentioned before, I did like that with Switch that he was very straightforward in talking about where he was and his experiences and where he's going forward, and the whole thing with Division 3. That was sort of a very cool little bit of him being honest. And I wonder sometimes, especially since we got that little flashback or flash into the house, the following trip a little bit further on, is this just a version of David that has come out? But there are multiple versions of himself, kind of like how Farouk has the multiple people inside of him for those last 2 seasons. Is it for David, his multiple versions of self are out in the world? Again, just some thoughts right there. But the one thing that I did actually find the most interesting with our little reintroduction with David there is kind of how mature he was at looking for the idea of time travel. When Switch asked him, what do you need a time traveler for? And we get the flash of Sid, and it's like, oh, it's for a girl. Yeah, but no. I mean, I think that was the surprising thing from David. Again, him talking about his past and where he's been through, that was all a matter of fact. But even when he's talking about Sid and going back, it's like, no, I would thought about going back and trying to fix things, but that just wouldn't work. There are other bigger forces that are at play that he's sort of to deal with. So I mean, in some sense, there's a more mature, a larger look at things. And I think part of that evolution we also see even with the scenes with Farouk later on, where you're talking about David used to be easy to find. He was his power was so big and he was so loud. But he's gotten better at hiding himself, at controlling that, at looking at these bigger pictures. There was always the interesting battles between Farouk and David, as David's initial battles were all very physical oriented, were wrestlers wrestling. Where Farouk's laughing is like, you could be a smoke, you could be a dragon, you could be an idea, and you're thinking about just throwing punches. David here seems to have evolved larger in that sense. Though he does have his limitations, and that was just that. Look, I'm just going to say it. It is our Scene of the Week for this week. And yes, it's the attack from Division 3. And I love later on we find out why. That Carrie's got these new little headsets on that black out, brain signals. And so David can't sense them coming up. And I love how this was all played out. But the first time that we have this battle, this encounter, to me, this is the best one because it gives us our summation where David's power is, how much stronger he has gotten, how many lines he is ready to cross as well. But also kind of that bit of a shock because when the thing comes down from the ceiling and they get the first shock wave, it's like, great, a smart initial attack. Then Carrie comes down, tosses the thing onto his brain, his skull, freezes him. It's like there's technique. It's like this is going to be a big battle. And yet, David is still way too powerful. He's still able to overcome those forces. And then he loses an arm. Carrie cuts off his arm. And he just looks at it. And then gets really mad. Blows the power. Kills her. Boom. Bullets coming out. Just stopping the bullets. And then boom. Taking out each the guy one and another. It's like, oh my God. This, first seeing this, it's like, is this really happening? Which, a question you always have to ask with Legion. Because you killed Carrie. How can you kill Carrie in the opening scene? As soon as we first see her, you can't do that. But the power and strength, even with one arm gone, he's able to control that and stand. And you see that look on his face like, yeah, we're going to get into it now. And then, boom, he's dead. Shot by Sid. And look, just visually, it was astounding. It was very powerful. It was shocking. Because, I mean, once Carrie did, it's like, this can't be right. Then, of course, once David shot, that definitely can't be the way that things are going to go. But it was beautifully done. And then from there, we get right into our shot of how Switch's time travel works. Going through a hallway, she opens a door, goes through a hallway. How long back? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. With our little instructions on time travel. Again, those great ideas. When you're going back in time, you've got to consider that some things can't be changed. Give yourself enough time to do some stuff. But don't go too far back because demons, you know, we get these ideas. And then we repeat all of this. I mean, again, I'll go into the rest, but that first scene, I think, because of the surprise effect. And, again, beautifully shot, lots of powers, wonderfully done. But then we get the repeat. And even in that, again, we're seeing Switch's smartness. She moves through the whole thing, very quickly back up into talking with David. And David's like, oh, if people attacked, I would have sensed it. Well, you didn't last time. Ooh, time travel. And then we get the attack from another perspective. Again, reinforcing this idea of if you go back in time, you have to give yourself enough time. Because at this point, 5, 10 minutes, even an hour, Division 3 is already on their way. She's got to go through the whole rigmarole in order to get to David. So that was, again, you're reinforcing these ideas that you just established. And then we get another great sequence, again, of David blowing people away and killing and taking, and Carrie's taken out again. I mean, at this stage, you know this is probably going to get repeated. You're not going to kill Carrie again. This is something else is going to go wrong. So when he was shot that second time, not as big of a surprise. But then we get Farouk popping up and now sensing Switch and having that whole encounter. So again, it was just a great done sequences, and I love when you're able to use time to reinforce and give us different perspectives. Even in the last time when we, again, the third time that this all happens, is we're seeing it from Division 3's perspective and the ideas that they have. Farouk surprisingly trying to keep Sid out of it, though still wanting to kill David. So it's not like he's trying to help. Which again, another scene that with Switch was smart. We're there, we want to help him, he's in trouble. Yeah, then why did the blonde shoot him? Don't trust the mustaches. Just, again, wonderful sequences, and I love how we keep seeing the different perspectives on all of that. I loved how they continued that through the episode, too. Alright, so just a couple of small things. One, as usual, have to have inside of Legion, preferably the first episode, dance sequence! Always got to happen. And another brilliant, beautiful one here. Also, we had used it as a nice transition. Again, the world is very colorless, very gray. Switch is the only colorful one out there. But as soon as she comes into the dry cleaners in pursuit, we now have color around her. Again, it's a little bit of muted colors, and we've got the little rainbow movement. She's still brighter and stronger, more vibrant than the colors around, but it's a great introduction now into David's world. Of course, great dance sequence, very coolly done. Something in your mind. The lyrics all very much tying into this is all going to be mind trippy stuff. Like I said, usually the musical sequences in shows annoy me. Never with Legion. Oh, and of course, continuing on with Switch's initial pursuit there. I love the look for the yellow bus, but it wasn't an actual bus that was the color yellow. It was a red bus that was called the Yellow Bus. Again, perfect for Legion. The unexpected, the obvious is not always what you're looking for. However, sometimes what you're looking for is beautifully right in front of you, and God, the crawling through the tunnels, through the city, and through the valleys, and through the forests with Switch there heading over to David's. Again, God, just beautifully done. Wondrous visuals, and invisible to the rest of the world, but still moving through the world to get to David. Just awesome. I'm glad to see Patanomy back. I sort of missed him. I was wondering what's going to happen to him trapped inside of Fukuyama's little mainframe there. So I guess he's got a robot body now. At least he's out. Though reflexes are slow. God, that was hilarious, I have to say. I still have to check his reflexes. Punch! Slow. Carry, man. What a team. Oh, but will Patanomy have his memory powers before, or is he now just like the new Fukuyama? It was hard to sort of tell there. It was feeling very just Fukuyama-ish without the basket on the head. I love Lenny's very direct answer when Switched asks, is this a cult? Yes. Okay then. Kind of an interesting cult too. Giant suckling pig there on the tape. I had to rewind. I didn't know if that was a pig or a pig person or a pig beast or just a giant pig that looked wrong with people suckling on. Just David's inner brain is not working right. Was that a tooth at the end that Sid picked up? 'Cause Switch, every time she walked through the door, she was messing with her tooth. I wasn't sure if she was just messing with it or had pulled it out, but it seemed to get more and more the couple times she went in. So just wondering if maybe going back the third time, was that too much? Did she lose a tooth? Does it grow back? Is that how she activates the powers? I mean, the headset just seems to be concentration information, but because if time travel costs you teeth, there's only going to be so many times you can do that. Anyway, just not sure. Sid has definitely, obviously, gotten much harder. Certainly ready to shoot David at a moment's notice. But you notice the tattoos on her forearm, me first, really changed her point of view. And yeah, the interactions with Farouk there, very weird. That's two together. Just does not seem right to me. That's why I think future Sid might have been under Farouk's influence the whole time. Just a thought. And comic book aficionados might recognize the name Switch because Switch is a mutant from Marvel Comics. Actually a member of the Hellions. However, a little different in the comics versus in the show. First off, of course, and most obviously, in the show, she's a girl. In the comics, he's a boy. A gentleman by the name of Devin Alomar. Also, power set a little different. Here on the show, time travel. In the comics, ability to switch bodies. In fact, much more similar to Sid's powers. He had the ability to transfer his consciousness from his body into another person's body and theirs back into his. Very useful for infiltration. Use that to great effect. Infiltrating X Factor before. But yeah, so a little bit of a difference there. But still, it's always good to have these little Easter eggs, these little reminders of their comic roots. But as with most things in the world of Legion, Noah Hawley always puts a personal touch on this. So kind of like Sid is a creation wholly for the show, Switch pretty much is just, again, referencing back to an actual Marvel Comics mutant. Alright, well I think that pretty much covers all of the big stuff. Again, opening episode, just welcoming us back into the world of Legion and giving us a hint of the adventures to come. First off, same as Farouk and Sid asked, how do you stop somebody that can go back in time and change what just occurred? How can you stop someone who can go back in time and warn themselves? Though, really, it's more Switch warning David, but the same type of point. Very exciting, very interested to find out what exactly David does want to go back in time for, and why Switch is there to help. What is it that Switch wants from David? What is Farouk's final plan, and where will this all end up? Does David devolve into the supervillain? Does he become a new Farouk, a new Shadow King himself, or will he be able to be pulled back from the brink and end the season as a hero? So much to look forward to. Really excited with everything we're gonna get. We're gonna get Professor X. It's so awesome. Just cannot wait to see the rest of this season. So, thank you all so much for taking this journey with me, for checking out the show, these reviews, giving your feedback, all of that. Really appreciate it, and cannot wait to see what the rest of the season is going to bring. So, that's going to wrap us up for now. Thanks again for watching, and please, if you enjoyed this review, go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, just toss those right down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. This is just the beginning. We got this whole season ahead of us. Plus, we're right in the middle of Season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have the final season, Season 4 of Preacher, coming up in August. So much great stuff. Don't miss any of it. You want, if you're a subscriber, do that by clicking this button right here. And we'll go up and throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.